Hi, it's Teresa with Crafty with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, today, get ready because we're going to turn another simple sketch into a beautiful two-photo scrapbook layout. Today, I'm crafting with my stash, my Cricut cuts, and joining the monthly creative challenge. So, let's get started. So, for those of you who may be new to my channel, if so, welcome. I want to let you know that we have a monthly challenge that we do every month where we dive into looking at a sketch. In this particular sketch, it's provided in the 2025 annual catalog by Stampin'Up. And we take that sketch and we use it as a jumping off point to actually build and design a scrapbook layout. So first, we're going to get started by looking at what type of papers might we use. In this case, I'm actually working on a pre-K or preschool graduation layout. Here's a quick look at the actual sketch and what we're starting from. It has two photos, a title. It will have a round element, which we will eventually change that, and I'll explain that to you in just a bit. And then we'll have a spot for journaling. But the first thing we want to do is we want to think about what colors do we want to put into this sketch. The first thing I look at when I think of school or children is our primary colors and secondary colors. So in this case, I decided on, in the back, to use blueberry bushel paper, that bright blue, a red, yellow, orange, and green for the 4 squares behind it. Each one of those squares are 4.5 by 4.5. Next, I wanted something else in the background, and I thought, why not create my own paper? There's a couple things I would like to have changed here, but I went with it after I got started. But all of the things that you're seeing here today, you can do yourself. You can actually use whatever school supplies you have on hand. I got mine from Cricut. I picked up these items from Cricut, like these 2 black frames. But most of these items you can kind of build yourself, and I'll kind of walk through that a little bit. So I have these 2 black frames, and I wanted to put a white piece of paper behind it because I wanted to have notebook paper behind those frames. So I could not figure out how to do that on Cricut. I'm still pretty new at getting back and using my Cricut more, so I still learn as I go here. So this is more for beginners. If you are an advanced Cricut user, I apologize in advance. But what I did is I went ahead and put some white paper around it. I cut it off, marked off what needed to be cut off. Then I glued that frame onto that white willow paper. And if you don't know already, here's kind of my style. I will glue corners of it, let that dry for a minute, and then wiggle things around until I get it to where I want it. And if I have to, I just trim some more as I go. So here I'm gluing my paper down just to kind of make sure that it's in good, glued very well. And I'll put that to the side while we work on other things. Now that it's dry, I'm going to go ahead, and you see I've got my notebook paper here, and I'm going to go ahead and start drawing my lines in pencils. But on the paper, there's 2 lines to the left that are vertical. I'll do that with my ruler. And I'm basically, the struggle I had here, which was actually pretty funny, was I could not figure out, where do I start with this? Is the paper in the back on the front? I'm not an engineer, so I was trying to figure out, how do I get this to look like paper with these, I'll say, cattywampus looking frames. But, I just went with it. I just kept going and went with it. Because I started in the back, and then I decided, no, I want the front to be my paper. So I'll stop rambling and move on. So the I decided I wanted to have some kind of jumping off point with where to start with these. So I drew some little lines at the 1 inch mark, and I decided, when you're talking about pre-K and preschool, they need the larger lines and the spacing in between it to make those letters. So we're going to do 1 inch apart here, and I'm basically just going to go through and mark it off and put it with pencils. Then after I've got all these drawn, and I won't make you watch me draw all those lines, I did actually think about using regular notebook paper in here. In hindsight, I wish I had, but I just went with this. If you have watched me before, you know I design as I go a little bit on most cases. Sometimes on my cards, I do those in advance, but my scrapbook layouts, I pretty much design as I go. So now I've got those lines ready to go, and I will go ahead and grab a marker, and I decided at the last minute that I thought it would be nice to have two variations of colors. Sometimes when you see notebook paper, you see red lines for the vertical lines, and then the lines across are gray or black. Well, I didn't want the red because I just didn't feel like for little kiddos that I wanted that in there. So I just drew the lines with my little pen that is still working. I know I'm not going to have much left of it. You can see they're pretty light, but that's okay. It's really kind of just background texture is what I'm looking for here. And so I'll draw those lines in, I'll flip it around, and then I'll turn around and draw the vertical lines. The vertical lines, I decided that I was just going to use a pen because the pen has a blue color, but it's not a real bright blue. So I don't want anything bright here. I just want it to kind of be background looks and to actually make the photos pop off the page, because I felt like if I put all of those elements on that red, yellow, orange, and green, that it would be too much. So that's where this really came from, was to have some type of background that didn't take away from our photos. Now I'll take my eraser, my pencil, my eraser, and I'll erase all those marks. Next, I wanted the look of the holes without punching holes in here, because I can't say that I'm very good at lining that up. And you know what I wish I had? Back in the day when we used to have hole punches, I'm dating myself, when you had the 3-hole punches that you use, we don't have that stuff, I don't think, anymore in offices because we don't use paper as much as adults. So I just grabbed some pearls, and I thought that silver and black would look good. I grabbed a Sharpie because I did not have a black alcohol pen with me at the time when I was taping that part of it. So I just grabbed a Sharpie. Black alcohol pen would work great too. So now let's grab our base colorful background, and we'll add the white black frame notebook paper to it. I'm starting to really like this. I really struggled though, I have to tell you, I really did struggle. But what I love about sketches is that they set the structure for you so you can focus on playing and designing, which is why I feel a little more comfortable designing as I go sometimes, especially if I have a sketch. So I'm choosing my photos. In this case, my grandson graduated from preschool and he was so excited. I have tons of photos. This is just the starting off, jumping off page that I wanted to get ready for him. And so here what you'll see is I'm going to have a 4x6 photo of him, and the yellow posted is just to protect his name and things like that. And you'll see that a couple times in my scrapbook layouts. I have to do that for my family. And then I'll have a 4x4 photo that will also be in here, and that will probably be his family photo. Not sure yet, so that's just kind of in limbo. And then I grabbed those things that I got from the Cricut. There were so many things to choose from. It was awesome. But I ended up just using items like apples and ABC and backpacks for the Cricut cuts. I did not end up using that pre-K graduation. I originally had intended to do that with the circle element, but I changed my mind because I don't show it here because it has information on it, but I ended up, when I finished this layout, for the layout that I have the kids take a look and give me their thoughts and their ideas, that will actually have his little diploma that he got showing the date of the graduation, his teacher's name, and things like that. So I changed the scrapbook layout just a bit and did that instead of the circle element. So the next thing I did is I grabbed more craft items from my stash because this is my, let's see, my third preschool layout. So I keep all those items in a little folder for when I need to do a preschool layout. And I have 7 grandchildren, so I have 4 more to go. And so I grabbed one of the items that was in my stash and I cut it down. It just worked out perfectly because it's on notebook paper. I don't think you can see that very well in this video, but the preschool section of that is actually notebook paper, and the preschool wording is on the top of it. So I'll just cut that down. I thought I needed to bring some more black back in, so I grabbed just a scrap piece of black paper, and you can see that's actually where the frame was cut out. So that's the remnants of that 12 by 12 paper cut down with that frame. Now as I fidget and fidget, I'm going to go ahead and just move on over to the actual scrapbook layout that I did decide to land on. Sometimes if you've watched me, you know I'm an overthinker, so this is my way of, I start it and then I decide to finish it at a later point, and that's what I did here today. So here you go. I think it turned out great, and I think my family's going to love it. Now today I don't have the card or the tag for you today, but that will be on my list. I'm quite busy trying to get ready to send out all my Christmas cards and finish up those items. So I will not have those done this week. I hope to have those done next week. So thank you again for joining me, and until next time, have a great day.